when you stop and think about it, that's what that is. You
Yeah.
know, if you embrace the suck, it's the same thing as a reach around. So yeah, you're right, Martin.
You do know we're live.
Who does? What?
We're you just said that on there. This first thing.
Oh, I did?
H7. Hit. D6. Miss. H8. Hit. C5.
Battleship, a great game of strategy, action, and suspense.
Miss. H6. You sank my battleship.
A game you can play anywhere. Battleship from Milton Bradley.
Deep in an underground secret Pacific Island lair, Pop Culture Minefield presents Saturday Morning Funtime. This is the Comic Relief Crusader telling you to get your morning cereal ready, because here we go.
Man, oh man. It is Saturday. It is also the weekend of Geekmas here in Springfield. And Keith is there. I don't know if he'll be able to join us from there because I don't know if they're having it at the Creamery or at the other place again over by Grizzly World. It's a huge outdoor store. It's not like outdoor on the inside. It's outdoor equipment. Just in
Not
case
a bad
there are
door.
people that are having problems with the language. So, and right next to it is this, I forget the name of the place. It's an old antique store, and it's bigger than the Creamery. And so I think that's why Hawk Holman, a good friend of ours, started doing his show there. And I opted not to go this year. I just, I'm dealing with all this stuff. I'm hyper focused. And I really don't want to add any extra duress to me because a lot of people don't realize I don't like being around people very much, and it's an introvert thing. It's not like I don't like people; it's just I don't want to be around them. They stress me out, cause me anxiety, and I usually have to go re-energize for like a day or two after I hang out with people. And so the cons, they're great for making money because I can make scratch going to conventions selling artwork. But oh my God, I just don't know if I want to do it anymore at my age. You know, I've hit a point where, and Keith seems to be enjoying it. He likes doing it. So it's exhausting for me. But I think also because I'm in the middle of doing all this other stuff, and my brain is wrapped around all these things we're doing between the shows and doing this graphic novel and planning the future with the graphic novels, with more graphic novels. These are the things that my brain likes to focus on, and I need all my energy for that. And people tend to drain me at those conventions where I have just no energy left at the end of the show, and then I'm useless for like 2 to 3 days. And I'm not kidding you. My daughter's exactly the same way. She was really worried about it. She's like asking me, and I'm like, yeah, just go be by yourself for a day or two, and you'll be fine. It just because she's freaked out over how drained and just hating to be around anybody, including people she loves, like me and her boyfriend and his family. So, but who do we got here today? We got Penny is here. Good morning, Penny. Ariel Ballet is here. Gerry stole his story from American Warship. I didn't take the story, but I was trying to figure out the disability of my main character, and I was pretty sure what I wanted to do. And then I saw the movie Battleship, and there's this guy, Colonel Gregory Gadsden, decorated war hero, got his legs blown off by an IED, and during combat, and he inspires me. And he's in the movie, and he does his own stunts, but you'll see in the behind the scenes the way they did some of those scenes. Like when he's throwing punches, he's actually not standing. They had him on a what do they call it? It's a rig. It's called a oh my god,
Harness.
no, Dutch
Oh,
thing. You
don't
lift
show
up
them.
and down. I forget the name of it. Anyway, it's a rig that's used usually for cameras, and they actually put him and mounted him on it, and the guy would control it, moving him, and so he wasn't standing when he threw the punches at the creature, and it's really kind of cool. And after I saw this movie, I'm like, that's what I want this guy to be. That's what I want this guy to be. And so I planned him to be a double amputee originally, but I was really like going, man, I'm really pushing the envelope for believability with that. And then I was introduced through a buddy of mine to Kurt Yeager from the show. He was on the show Sons of Anarchy when we met, and he's an amputee, and he's played soldiers. He's a stuntman, BMX, shit like that, motocross. He never served in the military, but he's a huge supporter of the military, and he does a lot of speaking engagements to support soldiers who have lost their limbs in combat. And he saw the work I was doing and read my script, and he was like, I want in. I want to be a partner. So he's my partner, actually. Even though he's not directly involved with the graphic novel, if we option to do a film as my partner, he has the right to first refusal to play the part of the main character, because it's his face in the graphic novel, Kurt Yeager's. But it led to a funny moment, because up to that point, I had pictured the main character as a double amputee because of this movie. And so Kurt's only got one leg missing. And so just showing the dark humor that he and I both share, I said, well, so tell me, Kurt, how method are you? And just left it quiet. And then he started laughing, and he realized what I was saying to him. Like, are you willing to lose the second leg? And of course, I changed it for the book because it made more sense that he could not do some of the things I have him doing with two prosthetic legs. He could only do it with one. And it's still even pushing the envelope with some of the stuff I have him doing, because technically he would need a different prosthetic limb for some of those scenes. And I'll answer that later if people ask me, and I'll tell them, yeah, I'm aware of that, but I had to conserve time in the story because I can't keep showing him switching legs out. It interrupts the action. And it's a rule you don't do in filmmaking. If you have an action story, don't interrupt the action to show something just to be accurate. It's led to some stupid shit in the past, like Steven Spielberg and some of the shit he did in Saving Private Ryan, which, Dale and I have talked ad nauseum about. And every time Dale would try to call him on something, Spielberg would go, trust me, this is all about cinema. And they need these shots to tell the story. This is visual storytelling. So you get things like them making silhouettes on a ridgeline, talking full voice in German occupied territory, and only walking a few feet apart when they should be yards apart, with no talking. A lot of hand signals and coming up to somebody and whispering directly into their ear, because German occupied territory. You don't want to do shit like that. But anyway.
Yeah. And for the person asking, this is, I believe it's the image from the first edition of Lord of the Rings.
Oh, the book. Yeah. That's what yours is from. Yeah.
Yep.
Because I asked you that a long time ago when you and I met, and I was like, fuck, I love that, dude. It's fucking cool you did that. So let's see. Aria Ballet is here. Dragon Ruse is here. Vinkman's Girl is here. Hi. Let's see who else is here. E. Clay Thomason is here. Zax. Yeah, get his video going, dude. Get his video going, Martin. I'm glad we got Martin. I wasn't sure we were going to have him today because he had to go get his eyes tested today. Stephen is here. Stephen, you're more than welcome to join us on the show if you want to.
Okay, here's the video for our friend.
You need.
Sax.
Hey, fuck you, Kyle.
The look, the guy.
You need to say the name Minox like Arnold.
The what?
Ah, crap! I think I'm getting lagged.
Oh, you said you need to say the name Minox? Is that what you said?
Oh, I said you need to pronounce the name Minox like do it like Arnold. Minox.
Minox. Shut up, Minox. Lady V Elements is here. Good morning. God, it's good to see everybody here today. I mean, this film really didn't make its money, but there was a lot of love behind this. What it is Peter Berg thought he would mix two things together and get a good paycheck out of it from Milton Bradley and make an action film about the military. Peter Berg loves the military. He loves military people. He is very passionate. A lot of people don't know that his movie that he did with Jamie Foxx and the crew, they play FBI. He made that and he snuck it across the line because what they're doing is actually military stuff. Because he wanted to make a military movie, but Hollywood didn't want that, so he made him FBI. He's being sneaky. But that movie is really about a special ops team. So we got what was that movie called? Kingdom, right?
I think so. Let me check.
You gonna look? Okay, you look. I think it was Kingdom. Jamie Foxx, the kid from Teen Wolf 2 and Ozark was in it.
Kingdom. That's its
The
name.
Kingdom.
2007.
It's a good film. We're still broiled in the war, and he wanted to make a war film, and they didn't want a war film. They wanted something. So he says, "Well, I'll make it FBI and not tell them it's still a war film." But it is a patriotic come straight. It really is. It's very pro soldier, very pro military personnel, because Navy's not soldiers. SEALs are soldiers, whether they like being called that or not, because the minute they put on boots and hit the ground with weapons, you're a soldier.
The mentality, when this came out, the mentality behind it was, I think, one of the things that made it fail was ultimately this just feels like, oh, Transformers is popular. We better cash in on that.
It's exactly what they did. The only thing that came close to The Game by Milton Bradley was the fact that the weapons being used by the aliens fired pegs that looked just like the pegs from the old board game.
Well, that and the fact that nobody could see each other by radar. They had to
that too.
guess.
That too. So they were blind. Yeah, I didn't think about that. You're right. But before we get into it, the graphic novel, like I said, was inspired by this gentleman. And we've got a couple of videos that Martin is going to play. We'll probably get ganked by YouTube for it. I'll remove them later. But I really would like to show these because it shows this guy, and this guy is a great inspiration. I've been trying to interview this guy for a while. I just really want to talk to this guy. So go ahead, Martin.
That was intense. Greg Gatson came out. He's never acted before. He's a double amputee.
That's Peter Berg.
This is completely out of his comfort zone, but he jumped right into it, and it was pretty intense.
Come on! Okay, get him in there. My character's a Special Forces Army officer that was wounded in Afghanistan, and I was a battalion commander in Iraq, and lost my legs to an IED also above the knee. And so my opening scene in the movie can't be any more authentic. All of the people here are real warriors, and so I hope it shows them that life goes on and that you can't quit.
We're going to get it. We're going to claw it out, and it's going to look incredible. That was.
By the way, that was another important thing. Originally he was also the character in the book was going to be above the knee, and I found out that's a bad idea because he needs the joint in order to do some of the things he's going to be doing. And so I made it a below the knee amputation on the character in the story. And it was again because of reading about this gentleman and what happened to him and watching videos with him. It really helped me figure out how to make my character Vindicated Inc. do what he does. So next video, bud.
Oh, that was all? I thought it was okay.
It's short.
Rihanna might be the reason you go see Battleship, but Greg Gatson will be the one.
Not really.
She was not why I went to see that fucking movie.
That was really.
In fact, if she was the only thing that was in that movie, I wouldn't have gone to see it. I could give two shits about Rihanna.
You're talking about when the credits roll.
Let's see if we can't buy the world another day.
Lieutenant Colonel Greg Gatson, an actual decorated war vet, knows all too well the struggles of his character in the film.
I'm a field artillery officer, was a battalion commander in Iraq, and lost my legs to an IED. My character, Mick Canales, is certainly someone I could identify with. I could obviously bring my personal experiences of recovering from these injuries.
Keep your feet together.
My feet can't get any closer.
Stand up tall.
All right, I had enough of this. You know, a lot of the thoughts, a lot of the emotions were still fresh and native to my experience.
But Gatson didn't let his disability slow him down.
It's been very physical, much more physical than I expected.
We pushed his limits. I mean, the fight scene was extremely physical.
I did not think I was going to end up doing as much as I did, and the stunt guys came up with some incredible ideas, strapped me into a camera dolly and moved me back and forth, and when I would punch, it, twisted my body naturally while I was strapped to the chair.
And he said, I've not thrown punches like this since I lost my legs. That was a cool moment.
Check out more cool moments from Gatson when Battleship hits theaters Friday, May 18th. For HipHollywood.com, I'm Vanessa Barnett.
Love guys like that, man. So,
okay.
Vindicated.
She has this question, and I think that the video has answered it, because you see the soldier and you see the character, and they both are driven.
Well, he's not an actor.
Yeah, but the guy is. You see, he's laughing, and he doesn't. He's past his angry face, because he said it. But when he has to remember the anger that he felt to play the character.
Yeah,
but he's obviously over it, and that's not an easy thing.
Yeah. And but he's not an actor. He was brought onto the film because of who he is, and so he's playing a version of himself. Is what he's doing in the film. And so yeah, I think that's a good answer. He's playing a version of himself. Let me get some of these. So we got this one here. Is that Sauron's flag? And of course, you already answered that, Kanatsky. Let's go. What is your story about? Vindicated Inc. is a story about, well, you know what? I'll do better than that. Martin, play the trailer.
Yes, sir.
And now you
meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
So I hope that answers the question. Basically, you know, he's a guy who's frustrated after losing his leg in combat by the medboard process, which I know a lot of guys have been frustrated by it. And the military kind of uses the medboard process as a threat against a lot of guys that are active duty, because it's like, well, if if you've got an injury or something, you need to make a claim. Just know that you'll get stuck here while that gets dealt with, and everybody else will move forward while you're still here. Yeah, and that's a threat. It's a means of trying to get us to not make a claim, and by not making the claim later, it becomes harder for you to get benefits from the VA. It's dirty. It's dirty business. But they're just like any other insurance provider, you know, and so they play dirty baseball. And I wanted to show what that's like for veterans when they have to go through that. But there's a cause and effect, and the effect is that out of sheer frustration, he ends up beating the shit out of a guy that was robbing a convenience store that he just happens to walk into. Disarms the guy, and beats the living shit out of him. Beats him so badly that the guy that he was robbing begs him to stop hitting him. That's how brutal the scene is. And it was written intentionally to be that way, that the guy is just like, you've won. But he felt so good unleashing that he wants to do it more. And so he begins to go look for stuff. And that's where he's acting sort of like a Bernie Getz character. And I didn't want him to be that. And he realizes that people are talking about what he's doing. At this they don't, you know, he's never called Vindicated in the book. Vindicated is actually the name of the store that he and his buddies open to hide what they're doing. And you'll know better if you read the book what I'm talking about. And basically, he's just called the Seattle Vigilante in the book. That's all he's ever referred to as. And, you know, it's an action-filled thriller, because you also have another major character who's the cop that's hunting him. And he's based on a real cop who's my buddy, Shane Moore. And in fact, Shane Moore is the physical model for him. I drew Shane Moore into my comic book. There's a lot of celebrities. I have a lot of likeness agreements with actors, from Battlestar Galactica to what's that movie called? Unbreakable. The serial killer in that movie is a friend of mine, and he signed an agreement to be in my book. And Kurt Yeager himself is the main character. So you'll see his face in the book, all their faces.
Well, Gary sort of reminds me of one guy I knew when I worked at Walmart for a very brief period of time, because unfortunately got himself fired. He was a door guard and he was a vet. And what he told me about it was that that they spend all this time, you know, turning on the switch to make it so that you can kill if you have to, if you need to.
Generation kill. Yeah.
Yeah. They spend all this thing. They enable that, go through combat, everything else, and then they don't teach you how to turn it off.
Well, and that's just it.
That's the way you described it.
I just talked to Anima about this. Here is where I stand on that subject. The Department of Defense is designed specifically to teach people how to kill and not feel guilty over it. We use words like tango, bad guy, enemy, and then other more brazen name, Haji, things like that. These are all associate and dehumanize the enemy. So it's more like playing a video game. It's really what it becomes. And it's still, you know, it's going to have its scars. It's going to leave scars. But the people that do the good job of training us to do that in the military are not the same people who should rehumanize us. And we need private citizen organizations doing that, because that's who we need to reintegrate with, and that's who should be overseeing it and responsible for it. Showing some accountability to helping those who served the country you live in. Whether you like it or not, these guys did something that maybe you weren't willing to do, and so maybe you owe them something in helping them reintegrate. And I've dealt with this in one of my other stories, one called The Island in the Lake. It's about a community. It's based on an actual situation, a community that was built for former SOF type soldiers from World War II, that the military was afraid that they couldn't reintegrate into society, and so they built a place for it. And so I created something like that in a story, and a biker gang makes the mistake of trying to hassle them, the town. And they end up getting locked into this island, not able to get out of the island, and fighting for their lives because they didn't realize what they were doing on this island and who they were dealing with. But the fact is we as a society need to be responsible for our people that serve. And the last people we should rely on to help these soldiers is any part of the government. Because the government doesn't know how to help people. It's not in that business anyway.
Nope. They get what they want from you, and then don't let the door kick your ass on the way out.
That's just it, and it's a reciprocal thing because we get something too. It's not like we go and slave for them and didn't get something out of it. The other problem I have with the military currently is the constant use and abuse of the backdoor draft, where they get these guys going on multiple deployments that shouldn't be going on multiple deployments. These guys have seen too much. And this is because people signing up into the military has dropped drastically. And that's because the government keeps playing checkbox shit and doesn't make it look interesting for people to do. Some of the more recent ads are kick-ass. And all of a sudden we saw a jump in people signing up in the military with those commercials. And look, man, it's if you've never served in the military, I'm going to say things you probably won't understand. There's just something about giving something of yourself to something greater than you. And it means something to a lot of us, especially those of us that served infantry. Somebody says, you'll never find an atheist in a foxhole. I said, I have. I've met him. I said, you know what you won't find in infantry? Leftists. Just, you'll find people who are mildly liberal, but for the most part, they're extremely patriotic. And they're extremely all about America and all about that guy next to them. And that's what you live for. I told somebody recently, I said, my greatest fear when I was in the military was fucking up and getting somebody killed. And it's a fear, and it really lingers with you when it happens. So let me get back to some of these questions. So are you talking about the movie, or are we just watching Still Friends until the end? I'm not supposed to say anything and snicker and laugh when it's done. I guys ask questions, I'm going to answer them. That's all I can say. You guys can make fun of me all you want. Let's see. So wait, you didn't like Steven Spielberg? No, I don't like him. Doesn't mean I don't appreciate him, because I love many of his films, but I think he's a complete fucking asshole. And I have my personal reasons for that I know things that you guys don't. And I don't respect people who treat people I love badly. I don't like it. Let's see. What's the next question? Read by nature. Did you ever consider giving him a bionic prosthetic? No, because I wanted to stay away from sci-fi. I mean, right now we live in a world that's pretty damn close to that. And the shit that he does with this prosthetic leg is pretty incredible. And I got to tell you, Kurt Yeager did something. We were in the green room before doing a live TV show, national show, talk about this book. And they got us a little hammered. They kept serving us drinks, and we got a little drunk waiting. And as we walked out of the green room, going into the dressing room, they put on the makeup and everything. and then you go out into the seating and then right up to the stage for this TV show. So we're stuck in that room kind of waiting just for a few minutes, and Kurt wanted to show me how powerful his kick was. And there is this support beam going up to the ceiling that was covered with metal frame and drywall. And he did a roundhouse kick with that fucking prosthetic leg and took out a chunk of that the pylon wall. And I was like, that is so fucking cool, but we better get the fuck out of here before we get busted for that. And I'm hoping we never got in trouble for that, because I never heard anything. But yeah, that's why I didn't do any super sci-fi stuff. And let's see. Savine Private Ryan.
That's the French version.
Savine. Okay.
Yeah.
I like that film. Don't get me wrong, but it's got tons of problems thematically. My biggest complaint, though, is that the scenes, all the combat scenes are great. That's the best part of the film, and those were all directed by Dale Dye. He directed those. Spielberg did not direct the combat scene. I'm mad that he never gave Dale Dye credit as even a second unit director on that film, even though that's really what he was doing. Spielberg sat in his director's chair playing his little Game Boy box thing and planning out Medal of Honor. And it's what he was doing. He planned out the game, and that he talked to Dale. Dale helped him develop the game, Medal of Honor. You were going to say something, Martin?
Yeah, at least you said you like it, because Chuck Dixon hates it.
Oh, Saving Private Ryan?
Yes. He hates it with a passion, man.
Well, I understand why he does, but I can't completely hate it because I love the combat scene in the movie. I got annoyed with the scenes where, like, again, they're talking full voice, walking through a few feet apart in German-occupied territory of France. And then he yells at the kid, "Stop saluting the captain. You want to get him shot by a sniper?" I'm sitting there going, he's got 2 white bars painted on the back of his helmet. He doesn't need to be saluted. Just some of the stupid shit in the film, just fucking annoying.
My whole thing with Private Ryan is that the opening combat scene is not the tone the rest of the actual fighting is. In other words, it's actually very brutal, and the rest of the fighting in the movie after that is more Hollywoodish.
There are only 3 major fight scenes in that film that I consider really good. Is the opening scene. There's a small battle in the middle, and then the final battle, which I thought was good. I thought that was well done. And all that was directed by Dale. Here's the kid whose career should have taken off. He got screwed by Disney really badly with John Carter. And he really was screwed, because that film would have done better if they hadn't taken the marketing money and spent it to buy Star Wars and focus on buying Star Wars. So the movie didn't get marketed correctly. Well, this is so not your normal Navy film, because this is a combat film. And so you see the Navy, they're the main military source here, but in reality, a lot of the stuff here would have been done by either special ops or by Marine recon. And so, but they pretty much focus on the Navy in this one. And I think that's probably agreement was made with the U.S. Navy, and that's why. Once you get the U.S. Navy to support your film or any branch, you're stuck with working with that branch and not the other branches. What is that? Saving Private Ryan proves that the person with the least advanced weapon will survive, while people with a better weapon won't make it. It's not a fact, but it's a truism. I agree with you on that, Jake. Taylor Kitsch, yeah, he's really good in this film. So, all of them are, man. Look at the cast in this movie. This is an all-star cast.
I have never seen a performance from Taylor that I haven't enjoyed.
She looks like an alien herself. She doesn't look human.
Oh, you're letting your personal feelings influence. She did good in the movie.
No, it's phobia. I fear aliens.
Phobia.
All I'm saying is I understand Chris Bennett a little bit more after this.
Liam's great in it. God, I love Liam Neeson. That new movie he just put out, what's it called? The Land of Saints and Sinners, something like that. It's a modern Western. It's what it is. It's just a straight up modern Western. And damn good film. Him and his best mate made the movie together. There's what's his name? Tarzan. He's good in this. Mr. Intense Eyes.
Now, there are actually guys like the lead character in the Navy, because it's, from what I remember, because it's been forever since I've seen this. Like, it felt like they were trying to do Maverick 2.0.
Look, every branch of the military, when it helps make a movie, is hoping for that. So just throw that out the window worrying about that. Yes, it's there. It's always there.
read this.
No, Gary is just sexist, since us women are from space, and Gary just admitted he's xenophobic. Men are from Mars, women are from Venus.
Appropriate comment there. Very perceptive of you.
Here he is. He's such a badass in real life. Just a great guy. I want to meet him so badly. Teague said, I like Saving Private Ryan, but the tropiness is hard to overlook. Everyone who talked about home or had plans. Yeah, but that's what they do. I mean, God, I remember when somebody said something about that scene where the kid dies in We Were Soldiers with Mel Gibson. And he says this thing, please tell my wife I love her, or some shit like that. And every critic was just shitting on that. And it's like, well, if you go to the book, that's actually what he said as he was dying. Yeah. So, as tropey as it seems, that's what soldiers end up doing. Some of these things we say really pathetic, sad, tragic last words.
Look, Sax has a comment.
Oh my God.
That's how powerful black lesbian women were in World War II. They had to be deleted. So
the entire beach was taken by lesbians. Oh, there's the dude from, oh God, I can't think of his name right now. Good actor. He was in was it a Hulu horror series based on Stephen King? He was really good as the preacher. He was in League with Vampires.
Don't know.
NASA may have called. I'm not sure. We get a lot of crank calls.
Surprised one of the lines in this movie wasn't, Michael Bay's gonna sue somebody.
Yeah, this is a real Michael Bay type film. It really is. And don't get me wrong, this is a fun film. It's not a film I have any strong emotional tie to, other than Gregory being in it. I love him and admire him, and I just love that guy. But the movie, I don't even own this movie. I have a copy of it I have access to anytime I want, but I never bought the movie because I just thought it was silly. I thought it was a silly movie.
I watched this on like a free preview in like 2010 or something like that.
Oh, wait. I've got a response to this. And the blood will flow. I like making jokes that it takes you a second to realize what I just said.
What? It was a period piece. What can we say?
This character so much. No, I like the actor, but his character is it's a trope in so many movies. That character that is there so just so he can say, "So what you're saying is, fuck off." he's only there to repeat what other people say and what you're saying.
Translate what they're actually saying, right?
There should be a guy like that in a movie, but keeps coming up with the wrong idea. It has to be corrected.
Yes, at least that would be nice.
So what you're saying is,
it's like you got this one guy that keeps saying something that comes close to what needs to be done, but not there. And the other guy's job is to interpret it and go, what you're trying to say is. Yeah, that's what I was trying to get to. I know. That's why we're friends.
I'm wishing there was a variant on the Taken speech in this from Liam Neeson. It's like, I have a very set skills at board games. If you
say this to the aliens over the intercom.
Say so.
I have a certain set of skills. I love how he tries to hide his Irish accent, but it's always there. A certain set of skills. He rolls over certain vowels, and you're like, dude, your fucking Irish brogue is still there. That's why Seth MacFarlane made fun of him on Family Guy. And
that is what
it led to a funny moment between
I was in
them.
Ted 2, you know.
He's in Ted 2, but he's also in that Western. And when he wanted to make the Western, he wanted Liam Neeson, and Liam Neeson said, I will do it, but only if you let me speak with my natural accent.
Yes, because that was the joke that Seth made in Family Guy.
That was it. So his character has an Irish brogue. And but then they became friendly with each other. And so he's in Ted. It was Ted 2, wasn't it?
Yes.
And he's reading the cereal box.
Yes.
And he's taking everything the cereal box says literally.
I understand that tricks is for kids. If I purchase this cereal, will that be in violation of that?
I fucking love that guy. Oh man, this scene where he's standing on top of this alien ship. He doesn't know he's on an alien ship. The thing that's funny here, is they picked the smallest fucking human being that's in this movie to mount one of the roughest weapons to handle. And I'm telling you, someone her size, male or female, would have trouble firing that weapon. You need somebody with a little meat on them.
This is the problem with musicians trying to be actors. It doesn't work most of the time.
Yeah. Well,
yes, he was, Ariel. He was in the film. He was one of the crewmen in the movie. Worked on the sub. Russian. Let's see. What's this? In A Million Ways to Die, he used his Irish accent, and it was a little too weird. Not for me. I liked it. There were a lot of Irish in the Old West. And they did something similar to it with Unforgiven, too, where you had not Little Bill. What was his name? Richard Harris plays it. A gunslinger from Ireland. Also, another actor who played Dumbledore, because Richard Harris was the first Dumbledore, Michael Gambon, plays an Irish landowner is part of the big gunfight in the movie Open Range. Mm-hmm. Oh, you're going to die, all of you. Gonna kill you, you goddamn sheep herders. I love that. It's one of my favorite Westerns ever made. Let's see. That's a lie, Gary. Stop being sexist, fattest. Anyone who could have used the gun, come on, Gary. Why are you being like this? I got to tell you, Ariel gets me.
You know, if Liam Neeson was in Tombstone, if Neeson was in Tombstone, it's like, I would like to let you know that I am coming, and that hell is coming with me.
Yep. English Bob's Irish accent comes out when they drag him out of town.
Yeah. I don't know how
That's
many
right. He
people
tries to
caught that,
hide it.
but, he hides
He
it.
tries to hide it as an Englishman, but in
Uh-huh.
reality, he's Irish. And
And
that Irish brogue comes out when that happens. It's funny.
The second he sees Hackman, it slips. He goes, shit and fried eggs, you know.
Right.
He knows he's
Speaking
fucked,
of sheep
you know?
herders, Disney sheep herder is here. How do you inhale? Smashing that like button. Can't stay watching GA versus AL. Enjoy the game. I'm probably gonna check up on it later. I like watching highlights now. I've hit a point where I don't want to watch a whole game anymore. I just watch highlights. Open Range is absolutely one of the best independent Westerns ever made. And I love it because there was a great passion for using language from the time. When he turns to when Costner turns to Robert Duvall and calls him a bucket mouth. That's an old slang term. Even my grandfather used that, bucket mouth. Oh my God, Open Range is an amazing movie, especially that in-gun. Oh my God, yeah. Thought that was realistic. And you know what? I got to tell you something, Ariel. A lot of people don't know this. Costner was having appendicitis while making that movie and shot a majority of that film sick as fuck. He's sick. Like in the water scenes where he's struggling with the water, he was sick. He could have died. And he continued working. And then he was rushed after we're done shooting for that week and rushed him to the hospital and had his appendix taken out. And God damn, man. God damn. And I think that helped with his performance. And he admits to that. He says, I think my being so rough around the edges sick that it really added to my performance of being rough around the edges. And I do consider it one of his best performances. And another great performance by him is, of course, The Untouchables. But Open Range is my favorite Kevin Costner performance ever. Actor that passed away. Yes, he died, I think, before the film was released. What was his name? Great actor. He was on
Michael
Burt Reynolds' TV series. Yes. Oh, he was already in the latter stages when he made the movie with his AIDS. He had Kaposi sarcoma, and he had some shits, a form of pneumonia that they get. And he made it through that film, and he was just terrific. I'm so glad he was able to do that before he passed away. But there are a lot of actors who make movies before they die, right before they die. One of the actors that was in, I think it was Dr. No. He was dying of cancer while shooting his scenes, and he wasn't able to make it to the final 4 scenes, and they had a stand-in for him because he was in the hospital dying. Let's see. Jeter, of course, with Open Range. And the creepy, scary guy in Poltergeist 2, the old minister. He was dying.
The one I always remember is the guy that is Howard Beale in Network. Like, he passed away before the war.
Yep. Yeah, and Jeter was great. He did that Evening Shade show with Burt Reynolds, if anybody remembers that show. I always felt like it was a precursor to Coach, because Coach came afterward. But Evening Shade was a great television program. I thought Burt Reynolds was in his element. Why that show didn't continue blows my mind. And Jeter was in there. Marriott Hartley, is that her name? Marriott Hartley. She was on Taxi.
Mary Lou Henner.
Yeah, Mary Lou Henner. That's it. Open Range was a good trip to the movies. Yes, it was. And I got to see that in the theater too. I saw that in Lebanon when Zoe was a baby. And I was like, wow. Walked out of that movie, I was quiet. You know you've seen something amazing when you just are just silent after a movie. You're still taking it in. Yeah, Mary Lou Henner, you got it too. I was like, really? A movie about a tabletop game? Yeah, I know, right. Your Doom guy? Oh, I didn't know that. I've never seen Poltergeist 3. I wasn't interested in it. Because the little girl, when she died, I just was like, I don't want to watch it. It was sad. She shouldn't have died.
Yeah. Because you can tell in that
series.
movie there's something off with her.
Yeah. Well, her cheeks. She was
Yeah.
getting the gerbil cheeks from the condition. I've seen the new series Frasier. We watch it religiously every week. It's still clever, and it still makes me chuckle. I don't think it's as good as Cheers or as good as the original Frasier, but it's got just enough magic to keep me coming back each week because I love Kelsey Grammer in that. Oh, I didn't know that, Martin. You got the BBC in Mexico?
Yes.
How
For
do
a
you
while,
pronounce it
BBC.
there?
Duh. Oh man, I remember when we used to watch the Graham Norton show, and was the Clooney and Damon and I don't remember the other one from that World War II movie about the art, the guys that were preserving artworks, and the three of them were absolutely drunk, man. That was awesome.
Oh, I've seen that one. Yeah, because they'd been drinking all day
Yes.
and went on the show drunk. Well, look, some of my favorite interviews are when someone's slightly inebriated. What's his name that played the comedian in the Watchmen movie?
Jeffrey Dean Morgan.
Yes.
Jeffrey Dean Morgan came on Craig Ferguson's show drunk. Eddie Izzard came on inebriated and started throwing furniture. It's so funny. And Craig got into it with him, throwing furniture around.
One of my favorites is, I forget the talk show host, but one of the actors from one of the Planet of the Apes movies was filming, didn't have time to take off the makeup, so he just showed up and ate makeup.
That was Paul Williams, and he went on to Johnny Carson. You can actually find that on YouTube. I've seen it. And he showed up.
It's fucking great.
On the Tonight Show with Johnny Carson in full makeup, and he was so on it. And he had Johnny rolling with some of the shit he was saying. And you know what? We're so lucky he is still alive, man. Still performing, still writing. He's written some great songs. And I think for every nerd out there, one of the most popular that we're all aware of is a little song called Rainbow Connection, sung by Kermit the Frog. Was written by Paul Williams. And I love watching him perform that song. Not Kermit, but Paul Williams, although they are the same size. By the way, I didn't know you were here, Stephen.
He's a ninja.
Yeah, sure.
I didn't notice you dropped in because I'm paying so much attention to what's going over on the right here with the chat. I remember great granddad took me to see Open Range in theaters. And the scene at the gunfight when Costner walks up and shoots the main assassin caused the entire audience to gasp. Yeah, turn that guy's head into a canoe.
Are you the guy that killed my friend? Yeah. Boom.
Blam.
and he says, and I enjoyed doing it. Before he can do anything, fucking blows him away. I like the film because a buddy of mine says, that's not what happens when you get hit by. I said, when he shot that guy with a full-on blast, close range with a 12 gauge, absolutely you would fly backward when you got hit by that blast. Fuck yeah, you would. Because it's subsonic. Subsonic weapons. And what subsonic means is that the rounds, or in this case, pellet, is traveling below the speed of sound. And what happens is it gets air in front of it, a pocket of air, and it'll hit you harder than anything else. And that's why the Colt 45, in particular, the ACP, is such a popular weapon in the military, and always has been, and always will be, because it's got knockdown power. You got to hit a guy 3 or 4 times with a 9mm to have the same impact of 145.
How is this that the saying goes? Because 45 ACP, because sometimes short, fat, and slow do the work.
Do the work. That's right. It's Don's in my, because Don Ecker and I talk about it all the time. The 45 is the greatest weapon out there. And I've had one pointed at me in a threatening manner. And I kept thinking to myself, Oh shit! I do not want to get shot by this. That shit's scary. That is fucking a scary weapon. Yeah, that is a great line from Unforgiven. You sir are a lowly scum or whatever, coward.
Cowardly
You just shot
son
an
of a
unarmed
bitch.
man. You know, and Clint Eastwood's like, well, he should have armed himself. He's going to decorate his bar with my friend body, and it's like, and then little Bill understands. Oh shit, this is money. Or Penny. This is Joe. Is it Joe Penny? Was that his name? I forget
Money.
his name.
Well, Money.
It was Money.
Will Money.
It wasn't Penny. It was Money. Okay. 44 Magnum is pretty powerful, but it is not subsonic, Tim. Subsonic is there. He is. That was him. That is redneck Matt Damon from Breaking Bad.
Yeah, I was gonna say
Jesse
I
Plemons.
can't.
What's his name?
Jesse Plemons.
No, Todd.
No, his real name, Jesse
Plemons.
Plemons. That is it. Okay. Now look, the 44 it'll make a small hole going in. It's going to make a huge hole coming out, and it will go through you. It's that powerful.
Oh,
as it's the most powerful handgun in the world. It'll blow your head clean off. You got to ask yourself one question. Do you feel lucky? Well, do you, punk?
We need to do this.
By what name are you known?
There are some who call me Tim.
Tim? Yeah, William Money. That was it. One of my favorite westerns. By the way, a little love for Ken Watanabe's movie. The Japanese adaptation of Unforgiven is actually a worthwhile watch. It's different, but it still has a lot of the same stuff in it, and it's well done. It has a darker ending, but I just really like the film. I'm like, I guess, because there was an element of the Old West in Japan, and they really loved the Old West, Japanese. They loved the whole six-gun thing. So you got a mixture of six guns and samurai swords in the movie. And Ken Watanabe is good at anything he's in. He is such a good actor. So if you've never seen the Japanese version of Unforgiven, check it out. I highly recommend it. What's it? Oh, you've seen the USS Arizona Memorial? Yeah, if you look at my World War II painting of Pearl Harbor, I actually left that memorial in the painting, even though it didn't exist at the time. It's in my painting. I just wanted it to be there. It's on the back side of the painting because it was meant to be a book cover, a wraparound, and it was just my nod to the memorial. Who else is here that I missed? Make sure. Nope. I've seen him.
Well, Admiral is in the house. Tim.
Yeah, I said hi to him. And I said hi to Tim.
Yeah, no, you're good. You're good.
I have never been to Hawaii. Came close to it because my wife, when I was married in the Army, she was going to get stationed there, but didn't work out. We divorced, and I was like, I almost got to go live, because she was going to be stationed at Schofield Barracks. Watanabe did a series.
Don't live next to Oprah or The Rock.
Bane the Assassin, where he posed as a doctor. Tinchu made a character based on him. Oh, I didn't know that. Okay, fuck. I'll have to check that out.
Well,
yeah, my only visual effects problem with this film is I wish we had had more real actors in costumes than the CG thing. Because I don't think we're there yet in 2012. No. None of the aliens look believable.
Oh, they all look like James Hetfield.
This also had a really bad trend in this. It's one of the first, was it Skybeam movies?
So, Ariel wants to know why the aliens attacked the highway.
Okay, most people don't know this. This is a history thing. Our highway system was planned out by General Dwight D. Eisenhower before he became president. Because when we're transferring equipment across the country, they would get bogged down on the roads that were existing at the time and get stuck. And Eisenhower wanted a freeway system. So most people aren't aware that the freeway system is not really meant for us to use. We just get to benefit from it. It was actually designed for the U.S. military to be able to get equipment across the country by land if necessary, quickly and efficiently, and not have to worry about getting bogged down. So them attacking the freeway was just showing their tactical understanding of how the military moves equipment. Oh, hey, what is that?
Guilty Gaming.
Guilty Gaming. Okay. Greetings,
Guilty Gaming.
You know him?
Hello.
No.
Yeah.
Do you know him?
Not
No.
personally.
I just realized the way he spelled it was really off.
Well, it's just hard to pronounce because there's bio and then another smaller O and then a G. A D,
No.
and then a G.
I realized that was blood, so it's blood guilty.
Oh, blood.
It's just
Well, my apologies for butchering your name, Blood Guilty.
Oh, we all did because that looks like an I. It doesn't look like an L. All right, outstanding. Good to meet you, man.
Or man. Good to meet you.
It's a common gaming thing where you use a symbol that's wrong, but it looks like one thing or another. So it's using.
I'm a serious gamer, but I'm not
stand
aware of
being
any
for
of
an
this
L.
stuff. I remember once my daughter was talking smack to me as I kicked her ass on Halo. She was talking shit to me, and she goes, "You're too old to be doing this." I said, "We started this.
Yes.
You're enjoying what we started. So shut up." I've been gaming since 1974. I've got the first home game system that was made. 1974.
What? Trash talk can start with Doom.
There he is, redneck Matt Damon.
Matt Damon.
Yeah, I go by a lot of people that are friends of mine know me through Xbox, and they still call me Cohen, Cohen, which is also the name of my music. I released my music under the name Cohen's Ghost, but that's also my game handle. I've been going by Cohen's Ghost since 2005 when I first got my account with Xbox.
Yep.
And now Leonard Cohen haunts you. So
here's the funny thing. I wasn't sure. My nickname in the Army was Ghost. I got the nickname because people would turn and I'd just suddenly be standing there. And they would go, "Oh." "Oh, dude. Like, how can somebody so big be so fucking quiet?" And I'm like, "I don't know." And so my sergeant started calling me Ghost. And so I kept that nickname. And then I was going to release music in 2002. And I'd composed a whole album of, instrumentals. And I'm like, what name should I go by? And one of my best friends, Mac, goes, "Well, a lot of these critics seem to, refer to your songwriting being similar to Leonard Cohen. We should call you Cohen's Ghost." And I said, "But Leonard Cohen's still alive." And he goes, "That makes it even better." I just laughed. I'm like, what the fuck does that even mean? So I've been Cohen's Ghost since 2002. Have you ever gotten a chance to watch the Norwegian movie The King's Choice? I'm going to
have a
see
bridge.
All right, hold on. Who did it?
Tim. It says, "I thought your nickname in the Army was Backdoor Gerry."
No, that's all thanks to Polly. That's a recent thing.
That's
over the last year. I have not seen this movie. I'm going to add this to my watch list.
Which one?
It's called The King's Choice. A biographical war film directed by Eric Poppy, and it's a co-production between Norway, Sweden, and Denmark, and Ireland. Oh, 4 countries involved in the making of this film.
Okay, so here's your video, Tim, based on one of our favorite movies here.
Cowboy, check around and see if there's a back door.
I love that movie, man.
It is great. It is a great. I don't know any. Well, wait, no, I know Jesper Christensen. He's a good actor. He's in that movie. I'll have to check this out, man.
Ah, Mr. White.
He does look like him. Holy shit, Rick Hoffman is in this movie. He's on the Joint Chiefs staff. That's interesting. So you got Taylor Kish, Peter Berg. He plays a gunner in this, the director. Brooklyn Decker, Alexander Skarsgård, Liam Neeson, Rihanna, Rick Hoffman, Tabanabu Asano is in it. Gregory D. Gadsden, Jesse Plemons. That's the guy, Hamish Linklater. He's a very good actor. And Peter McNichol, who you were commenting on before. A lot of people forget, he's the hero, the main character in the movie Dragon Slayer. They were thinking that he might be the next Mark Hamill, Luke Skywalker. But he's gone on to do some great, great comedy, man. He was in the Mr. Bean movie. He's the man that Mr. Bean stays with in their house. And he was on that show, Numbers. What a great character he played in that. So I'm looking to see if there's any other known actors in the thing, and I'm not recognizing any of these guys so far.
No, Ariel, there wasn't any tigers in. Well, not real tiger in Kelly's Heroes, but they did a pretty good job making look those tanks like they were in fact tigers.
They dressed it up pretty well.
Brooklyn Decker sounds like a sandwich.
Or the Brooklyn version of an upper decker.
Or the
That's a
version of
test.
Blade Runner.
See if you guys even know what an upper decker is.
No, I don't know what is. Oh, the double deck bus.
No, the upper decker is the nickname given to somebody who opens the top lid of the toilet and takes a shit up there and then closes it. That's called doing an upper decker.
That is a son of a bitch, actually.
People do it, and there's some assholes that have done it. I never did it.
Yeah.
Battle of the Bulge.
Or
no, this is a Monty Python joke. That's a Monty Python joke. I know what this is from. This is from The Meaning of Life. It seems that a tiger made off with his leg during the night. He goes, in Africa? And they look at each other because they're aware there's a camera, and they're like, and then it comes up again later. It seems that a tiger made off with his leg. In Africa?
Well, Tim knows what an upper decker is.
Upper decker is. Why did you destroy my beliefs that they were tigers? Jesse Plemons did okay for himself. He was in Breaking Bad for a while, and that's where he got that nickname in the show. They called him Redneck Matt Damon. It was funny as hell. He was in Breaking Bad for a while, the best episode of Black Mirror. I'm not a fan of that episode, and I'll explain to you why I didn't like that episode.
Oh, I hated it.
I hated the fact that they made him into a bad guy. He was the one being bullied and tormented, and they turned him into bad guy. And I'm like, really? You're going to take the side of virtual characters over a real human being? Fuck you. I lost interest in that. I hated that episode. I am now upset with Martin. Uh-oh. Ariel's mad at me.
Yeah.
I watch gamer channels from time to time.
Mm-hmm.
I was upper decked by people who had my hotel room before. Oh my God. Oh my God. That's awful.
Man.
Because you keep flushing. It's like, why is there
I like
still
Black
shit?
Mirror when it was still... I liked Black Mirror for the first 2 series. It was produced by the BBC before Netflix got its hands on them.
Well, I liked that season too still. I just didn't like that first episode.
Jesus Christ. This is infuriating.
Can we change subjects? Because
Yes.
this is not a pleasant one.
Yeah, let's discuss the reason I don't watch Black Mirror. The first episode. I was done after the first episode.
Thank you, Blood Guilty. Thank you very much for sharing it out. And once again, just remember, this episode, we're talking a little bit about why the character in this film inspired an aspect of Vindicated Inc. And he really did. He had a very direct impact on me. Is Gregory, Colonel Gregory Gavins, and he is a double amputee. Lost his legs in combat in Iraq due to an IED. And he's the one who got me thinking, I want to make him an amputee, the main character, instead of just scarred.
Have you been able to get in contact with him at all?
Whom?
The guy in this, the guy that inspired.
No, I've tried to. I can't find a means to get a hold of him. All I want is, like, even if it's his manager or agent, I would like to have a name and an email or a phone so I can call or send an email. It's just I played a wide variety of games. It's time to put Kelly's Heroes into... No, don't ever get rid of that movie. That movie's great.
No, it's just, man.
And it's based on a real heist that took place during World War II.
Heists.
I love heist films.
That's the crazier part.
I love them.
It
One of my favorite heist films is called Heist with Gene Hackman. And Ving Rhames is in it too. Or not Ving Rhames, I'm sorry. Oh my God, what is his name? I forgot his name. Oh, he was in Get Shorty.
Delroy Lindo.
John Travolta?
Delroy Lindo. Fucking love that dude, man. And Delroy and Hackman are walking down the street after talking to this newspaper guy, and he tells the newspaper guy, just remember, money makes the world go around. And Delroy says, I thought love made the world go around. He goes, it does. The love of money makes the world go round.
I like that last line there at the end where he says, don't you want to hear my last words? I just did. Blam. You know, at the end. Yeah.
Oh, yeah. With that was Danny DeVito, wasn't it? Yeah.
Yeah.
Yeah. That's a good movie. I have it somewhere on my hard drive. I want to break it out and show it to Anima, introduce her to some really good crime shows, movies. Let's see. If I was able to get off my hospital bed, I'd be in the corner crying. You're in the hospital, Ariel? I'm so sorry to hear that.
Yes, for some time now.
Aww.
What's going on?
Jeez.
Nobody gonna tell me?
No. That shit tells
Okay. All right. In fact, I call Star Trek Lower Decks.
Oh,
it is a shit show. Bad writing.
Yeah. Is it too much to wish that just old Star Trek would stop for 5 years and they just...
we need a break.
Yeah.
So we can just let go of the bad Star Trek for the last few years. I never got into Black Mirror, but I like the show creator, Charlie Brooker. He has a satirical show called Newswipe. Ooh, I'm going to check that out.
Yeah, I
liked it.
His...
It goes by episode because sometimes I like the episode and sometimes I don't. There was one episode that in particular that hit on the exact same subject that was done in the show, The Orville. And
yes,
dealing
the
with
social credit episode.
social credits.
Yeah.
And I felt Orville did a better job. I preferred the way they handled it than the way it was handled on Black Mirror. But the Black Mirror show is really
Gerry,
good. My favorite episode of all of them was Black Museum.
Yes.
That was really fucking good.
Fucking good.
I was nervous going into that one too because, leftist liberal Hollywood has a tendency of mishandling that subject, but they did a fantastic job with that one. You were going to say something, Shinatsky?
I was saying, if you watch his earlier stuff, and he also has a TV series he did for the BBC called like How TV Ruined Your Life.
Right.
Like he was basically almost a YouTube video essay guide before that was really a thing, but on TV. So he's basically like a smarmy satirist. And if you really look at Black Mirror, it's basically, a lot of it's almost written for comedy when you really break it down. Because he has a ton of cruel ironies. He just made it from comedy to serious. Because you can make a lot of his premises into jokes very easily.
Yeah.
In Black Mirror.
To explain something to Ariel, the problem was with films, they weren't able to get a hold of old World War II tanks. And with Kelly's Heroes, along with later Force 10 from Navarone, they all shot in the same region. And they would use the local military's vehicles and they would dress them up as best they could. But the Tiger tank in particular is a very hard one to really get right. The Tiger II specifically, and in particular the Super Tiger. They did a fairly good job for that, for 1969, I think it was, 68, 69. They made that film for doing that. Force 10 from Navarone, I think, did a less of a better job than they did. So, but there are other films, and it's hard to, and then you look at movies like Saving Private Ryan, we brought up earlier, that's not actually a Tiger tank. That was constructed for the film. They remade a Tiger tank for the movie. And that's not an actual Tiger tank. They're hard to come by. They really are. It's sort of like in the movie we showed a few weeks back on Military Monday, The Great Raid, the actual Black Widow plane, there's only 3 left in existence and none of them fly. So they had to find something close to it. And what they flew was, I think it was the Beech Nut plane. I can't remember the call number on it. But they used that one instead, and it was really noticeable. I'm like, that doesn't look anything like the plane that they actually use, but there aren't any. So there you go. You make do with what you got, and I still think that Kelly's Heroes is one of my favorite World War II films. It's also one of my favorite military comedies of all time, both. And it's my favorite. It's my number one favorite military heist film.
It's just a good story, especially I love in Kelly's Heroes when he pulls out the gold bar. Anytime anyone's arguing, he just pulls out the gold bar and you see the light of the gold reflecting on their
That's something they would use later in Pulp Fiction, the reflection off of the gold. I'm in the hospital because my sodium levels have crashed a couple times in 24 hours. So my doctor is making sure I'm being watched. Yeah, you got to watch that. Because for your neurological system to work, you have to have a perfect level of sodium to potassium. They're both essential. So make sure you're getting electrolytes. I'm assuming they're probably filling you full of lactated ringers. That's what I pump into you. That and some saline. But you don't want to turn the blood into Kool-Aid.
Okay, try to make her feel better. She says the only way I feel better about Kelly's Heroes is if someone tells me something awesome. Who better than you, Gerry? Give her some awesome anecdote.
Yeah, way to throw the pressure on me without a warning. Thanks, buddy. One, the first time we ever got to see Don Rickles hit on Clint Eastwood was in a behind-the-scenes 8mm sound film strip they made that they sent home to the family. And he just absolutely roasts the shit out of Clint Eastwood. I love that. I think that it is a great bookend film with The Dirty Dozen. Those are two movies that you should watch together because genre-wise, they're great. There are some serious moments, more so in Dirty Dozen, but I love both those films for pretty much the same reason: the depiction of soldiers, the friendships, the humor, all of it. Big difference is more characters get killed in Dirty Dozen, but two great films. Yeah. Off the top of my head, I can't really think of anything.
Another fun fact for Kelly Hero. Another fun fact for Kelly's Hero: the actual amount of gold that was stolen was over 24 tons.
Damn.
Think about that.
It was a huge heist. In real life, it was too. Huge heist.
The investigations into it often get shut down because, surprise, surprise, governments don't want to admit that they were culpable in German Federal Reserve gold getting stolen, but they're happy to basically have their civilians keep it.
Oh man. Also, Donald Sutherland, that was his first big role, and the backers, the producers, didn't want him getting so much attention. They didn't like him. They didn't like that his ears looked like two coffee mugs handles sticking out. But the director loved him and actually went about taking lines that were meant for other people and gave them to him.
The producers were just just full of negative waves.
You've got those two films again. I bring it up, The Dirty Dozen and that one, and you have two major cast members in both films. Is Telly Savalas and Donald Sutherland.
Mm-hmm.
I watched The Dirty Dozen one of the nights on TV there in London for a few minutes before I went to bed. It's a great film. It really is. The thing is, again, Hollywood was terrified of the film because that last scene where Jim Brown's running and throwing grenades down those pipes, they were like, he's going to kill the women there too. And
That's
the executive producer or the director goes, Nazi women.
Yeah.
It's okay.
Okay.
In the movie Battle of the Bulge, there was a lot of fake stuff mocked up in the real Battle in the Bulge. I would bet they mostly had PZKW 4s. I'd have to look that up. I know the Battle of the Bulge had a lot of problems with location shooting, where they were shooting what was supposed to be, the Rhine forest, and it looked like desert because they were shooting part of it in Yugoslavia, was it, or somewhere like that, Spain. Telly Savalas are from the same town. I wonder if they knew each other in high school. Telly Savalas and who? Oh, and John Williams. Okay, I see. All right. It's a good question.
It's kind of crazy to think about. Like, it's interesting to think about how World War II gets depicted differently depending on the era it's in. Like, the 70s have this very, feel like, and Kelly's Heroes, it has a freaking hippie in it, which makes no sense for World War II, but whatever. But then you go to, like, the Saving Private Ryan era, and it becomes a bit more honorary, a bit more, looking back, because those veterans were getting older and they wanted to make sure they actually honored them. And now it seems like we're getting to World War II is becoming super gritty again and depressing. The tragedy aspect seems to be what's going on, especially with, like, Oppenheimer.
Which I do have to say, that is absolutely Chris Nolan's best film, and I would dare say probably the best film he'll ever make. Now we near the end of the film, and they're saluting those who have fallen. I hope this guy gets another chance to make a star out of himself. He's a good actor. I like this kid. She says, "Oh, by the way, Martin, what do you have to say since you're the one that got me all upset about Kelly's Heroes? Gerry, Shinsosa, and Deleted got Shinatsky and Deleted got my enjoyment back into the movie. But you, Martin, she's giving you the dirty look. She's giving you the stink eye, Martin."
Well, I just typed to her.
Yeah, but it doesn't sound as good when you write it than when you say it.
Okay.
I mean, your butchering of the English language makes it adorable.
Not as adorable as the butchering of my name.
Shinsosa.
I'm Shinsosa, motherfucker.
Kaiser Shinsosa.
Sounds like a Godzilla monster name.
Speaking of Godzilla,
is coming around the corner. Please don't spoil it for me.
Holly, Tom, and John went to see it last night or yesterday, so I'm super stoked to hear back from them on what they thought of it. My biggest issue with World War II movies is the ones that place in the Pacific seem to always degenerate into a Vietnam analogy. Well, I don't know what to call that. That's why people ask me what I thought of MASH. They're like, "Are you going to do MASH?" I said, I got to be honest. I was a kid, loved them. But as I got older, I didn't feel the same way. Because once I learned what they were really about, the Vietnam War, that bugged me because the book is great and it's all Korean War. It feels like Korean War. Whereas the show and the movie don't. They feel like Vietnam. And so I just, not that big a fan. Not that big a fan. And don't get me wrong, I thought Gelbart did a fantastic job of adapting it to TV. I mean, he did that before. Gelbart did the same thing with The Odd Couple. He took the play, found two actors that were perfect in the parts, with Tony Randall and just, what is his name? I just forgot his name. Played Oscar.
Jack Klugman.
Jack Klugman. Yeah. Oh, look at that. You and I. Jinx, you owe me a Coke. Were perfect. Only to find out that, well, that's because they were in the stage production. They were cast as Oscar and Felix before. So it was really simple. But Larry Gelbart adapted The Odd Couple into a TV, and he did the same thing with MASH a few years later. And it's just really, 2 years later. Larry Gelbart was really good with the comedy. And, but like if you watch season 1 of MASH, it's not as funny. I think the comedy got better going into season 2. Another thing I hated about the show MASH was the laugh track. I hate laugh tracks, which is interesting because I said that to some of my limey friends, and they'll go, "There was a laugh track," and I always say it as a term of affection. I love limeys. I love the British, and the laugh track was diminished to removed, a little of both, in the British version because they hate laugh tracks. And Americans do too, but Hollywood doesn't know that because they don't give a shit what we think. We hate fake laughter, canned laughter. Also, I'm sorry for butchering your name. It wasn't listed, and I was going off of memory. And keep it. Oh, she's talking to you, Shinaz.
Aw.
And she's doing heavy drugs. None of them through medicine. It's recreational.
It's like, hey, you know,
Doc says I need to stop using meth, man, and I'm like, no way. Oh man, I hope you feel better, Ariel. Look, you got to watch your sodium and potassium levels because they're both required for your motor neurons to work. Without the proper amount of potassium and sodium, you're off kilter. So it's always important to make sure you're getting at least a quarter teaspoon of salt a day in your food, at least a quarter teaspoon. And you need to take in things that have potassium in it too. You can get that through bananas. Kiwi actually has more. Not kiwi, I'm sorry. Avocados have more potassium than bananas do. Or you can just do supplements, which is what I do because with diabetes, I can't enjoy bananas anymore. And I like guacamole, but I don't want to have it every fucking day because it's, avocados are okay, but not something I want to have every day. The BBC has real people watching the show before they air it and pick up the real laughter. Check and see, Tim. Look and see if that's what they did with MASH, because I know that they altered it when they released it in Britain, and I thought that was an interesting decision. And by the way, when I was in Europe, the best thing I ever saw was when I was in Malaga, Spain, and it was 11 o'clock in the morning, and Starsky and Hutch came on. You have not watched Starsky and Hutch unless you've watched it in the original Espanol.
Klingon.
That was fucking wild. And I was just engrossed in it. I didn't, it's like, do you want subtitles? No, I don't care. I know what's going on. It's a simple story. It's not written to be complicated. You don't need the dialogue. What? You're going to say something?
Oh, there was actually I had written out like a pilot, was it like 2 or 3 episodes worth for what was going to make sort of, I called it like sort of the anti-sitcom. And the basic premise was that a guy gets caught, like he knows he's in a terrible sitcom. And it's the point where it's one of those sitcoms that have gone on for so long that it's become like a parody of itself. So like everything was like this twisted up to 11 version of everything. And the laugh track wasn't funny. In fact, the laugh track was always going off the top when really messed up stuff was happening. And the main character could hear it too.
I was just checking something. Season 2, again, this is all about Larry Gilbert, by the way, the guy who brought MASH and The Odd Couple to TV. Yeah. And season 1 of Odd Couple had a laugh track. And Tony Randall and Jack Klugman hated that, and they got upset about it. So what they did is they agreed that starting from season 2 on, it would be filmed before a live audience. And so all the laughter from season 2 until the conclusion of the series was done before a live audience. So all that laughter was real. And that's the other thing I love about like Cheers, Frasier, and other shows like that. They won't say it at the beginning of the shows anymore. Whereas I think they should. I think it's important to announce that this was filmed before a live audience. Cheers was the last James Burrows series that, Charles and James Burrows series that had would announce Cheers was filmed before a live audience. And again, it was, even though the first season was too, it wasn't until the second season they added that to the beginning of the show. But I don't think it's necessary because people can tell when it's a real audience when they're hearing canned laughter. I think it's very obvious. Just drinks.
Oh, I think a live audience helps some of these shows because they can actually zone in on what's actually working.
And it tells the showrunner and lead writers, what works and what doesn't. And that's alters to the next show. They'll add more stuff to it, beef it up with that kind of comedy. And yeah, absolutely. You're right on that, Shinazi.
And one prime example of the audience helping a series out, in particular I can think of, is Seinfeld. When there's the episode where Gerry can't remember his girlfriend's name, the entire thing, they had one written out. I forget what it is. But they then asked the audience, what do you think the woman's name is? And one of them called out Dolores, as in it rhymes with
clitoris
thing. And they laughed their ass off, and they were like, they changed it to that because of what the audience fed back to them.
Yep. By the way, check this out. I noticed this a minute ago when I was looking for what they said at the beginning of the show. And you recognize that building right there?
Yes, Ghostbusters.
Yeah.
Hey, I think deleted. He's
deleted.
Oh, he is.
You need a nap, buddy?
Because he's tired, dude. He works. He works before the show. Let's see. Let me go back to the chat. So, Shinatsky, not sure if you saw earlier when I asked, but have you played and/or enjoyed Third Age Divide and Conquer mod for Total War Medieval 2?
No. Was I do remember enjoying the EA Lord of the Rings RTS they did a while ago. I mean, people love to mod Lord of the Rings into everything, which is kind of nice.
Oh, I would never
now if
complain
we could
about it.
only get Lord of the Rings and Rings of Power.
Okay, I'm going to tell you, I eat sweet potatoes too, because despite the fact being potatoes and they got carbs in it, they've got less carbs, but there are other nutrients that are in sweet potatoes that absolutely help diabetics, including the potassium. But I got to tell you, I love having mine with real unsalted butter, and then I add the sugar-free imitation syrup and cinnamon and the stevia, or is it stevia, brown sugar. It's got no sugar in it. And I'm telling you, that's fucking amazing. It tastes like sweet potato casserole is what it tastes like. And I treat that as a dessert. Oh God, I hated Seinfeld and Friends.
Me
Look, I
too.
don't feel that way. I loved both those shows for
I fucking
specific
hate 'em.
reasons. If it weren't for Matt LeBlanc and Matthew Perry, I would have never watched Friends, because I could not stand Ross as a character. And the only thing good about the other three characters is that they're good-looking women. I didn't find them too funny early on. Phoebe became funny to me later, and I found her, especially when she's doing music, fucking hysterical. But the other three characters, I just didn't like them. And I follow anything Matt LeBlanc does, I watch, because that dude fucking kills me. I watched him when he did his own show, Joey, which was terrible. It was terrible. It was the spinoff of Friends. But then he did a little British show that was made here in America about two English writers who are forced to come to America to adapt their show from England to an American show. And just, it's fucking funny. And Matt LeBlanc plays himself, but it is a really fucking outrageous version of himself. Nowhere close to what he is in real life. And then he did another show that I loved, filmed again before a live audience, called Man with a Plan. And I would say 95% of it, I just love that show. There was always just 5% of stupid feminism that would annoy me with his wife. She would get her thing like, well, why don't you hire a woman to work at your company? And he, of course, does. He ends up hiring a woman to do the job because she's a foreman. She doesn't have to be brute strong. But when women say stuff like that, they don't understand that women actually don't want some jobs, labor jobs. They don't want them. That's why there's less than 5% of all employees for certain kinds of jobs are women. Not because they aren't willing to hire them, because they don't go out for those jobs, like sewer work, heavy labor jobs, construction, shit like that. You hardly ever see women working those kinds of jobs.
Yep. I'm in one of those
And
industries.
that's not men's fault. That's their choice.
Yeah. Anything involves getting dirty and like a lot of strenuous physical labor, I don't see women going for.
It's just, it's a fact. I think the Ghostbusters building is the Dakota Hotel when John Lennon where John Lennon lived. He lived in the Brownstone building down the street, because we see Felix and Oscar at Columbus Plaza. It's about 53rd Street and Central Park. Yeah, it's Central Park East. It's the east side of the park. Or is it south?
Ariel, wasn't the Lord of the Rings RPG the Third Age on the Xbox? That's the one I remember. I mean, there's also Lord of the Rings Online, but
South Park and Fifth Avenue. I'm going to check into this, Teague. This is a really good puzzle I'd like to put together. That's the kind of stuff I like to look up and do research on. What's the next one? I served with women, and the women I served with were amazing. They were amazing people, and they did their jobs. The only time I ever got rough on the females, one of them was my future ex-wife. I made her and her partner cry because we were on a lane, a training lane, and I was their senior instructor on this lane, and I had to teach them how to go through. In fact, this lane that we're on is part of the medic badge award lane. You have to compete and finish this lane in a certain amount of time, and if you do, you get the combat medic award. I never got it. I never got to compete. I wanted to, never had time. But I was the one field instructor for them that day, and I had to walk with them the whole lane, yelling at them what they're supposed to be doing. They had to go to a certain location, get a soldier, treat him physically, and then take them with him, or take him with them as they finish the rest of the lane. And there's hills, there's forest, and then the final one is they got to go across oiled sand under concertina wire, and which means you got to low crawl and drag that person with you. And low crawling is absolutely one of the hardest things you have ever done as a human being, because it's not what you think. It is much worse. You have to hug the ground, the earth. You are part of the earth. Your head stays sideways. One hand stays out in front of you, while the other arm is hooked under the shoulder of the victim. And then with your hand and your legs, push yourself through the sand. And that body is dragging in that sand, and it's hard to do. And the two females that were I was training that day, I remember what I said to them to this day. But I was trying to teach. It was a teaching moment, and they were crying. They were crying because they couldn't get through the lane. They couldn't finish the lane. They were doing so good. They get there, and I was so angry at them. I wanted them to do it. I'm like, come on, do it, but I went negative with them, and hoping that would make them angry. I wanted to make them angry and get them to go. And I said, and this is why women shouldn't be combat medics in a combat unit. It's okay. Leave him. Don't worry about him. Save yourselves. He'll be okay. He won't die from his wounds. Go ahead. Don't feel any. And I was yelling this at them. But what I was trying to do was motivate them. But in the end, what I taught them is maybe some females shouldn't try to be in an infantry unit. And
yeah,
they agreed with me later. They're like, man, you really made us realize that there are some things that are obstacles for women. That we have no upper body strength. But then there was two females in our unit that fucking kicked ass on that lane. And I'd have followed them into hell. They were really good soldiers. But my future ex-wife, my future ex-late wife, and the other young lady, they just didn't have what it took to do that. But they would be amazing in MASH units, CASH units later. Because they changed the name while I was in from MASH to CASH, casualty units. And then, or a base aid station. They'd be good for those jobs. They would not be good for infantry. They're not strong enough. And you should not be allowed in an infantry unit if you don't have the upper body strength to carry the guy next to you if he gets wounded. Period. I don't care if you're a man or a woman. Don't care. If you don't have the upper body strength to carry somebody to safety after they've been wounded, you shouldn't be fighting next to them. Well, because of the work that was done, thanks to Steven Seagal, a lot of the repairs had already been done on the Missouri. And so it took them a couple of months to put it back together again. I think there's a video on it. I'll go find it in a sec. I'll do it right now.
I mean, obviously, you couldn't just Alien Invasion Camp. We need to get this old ship up and running.
Whoa, we have a super chat from Admiral. Thank you very much.
Outstanding. That's good news. You're now monetized. Thanks so much for your help in making that happen. Live long, Pop Culture Minefield. Well, we love you, Tig. We love you, and I'll be on your show anytime you want me.
Yep.
So here we go. Let me look at this again and see if this gives an answer. I'm going to watch it. I can't show it because maybe commercially copyrighted.
Okay, I will play a video for Admiral in meanwhile.
Human sacrifice, dogs and cats living together, mass hysteria.
I like.
By the way, finally heard me do it. I was getting irritated with something, and instead of saying the dirty word, I said, "Mother puss buckets."
Mother pucker.
No, it's from Ghostbusters. Bill Murray says,
Yeah.
That's hilarious. The repair work involves sandblasting the nearly 27,000 square feet of the ship because of the rusting and corrosion. I'm looking to see how long it took for
No,
preservation.
what Ariel was referring to is like in the movie, how much time would be necessary to start up the engine and move the thing away.
Oh, not much time at all. You could easily do that. You might have to ship in and replace some parts because as they get older and they do become rusted or corroded, they'll lock and there's no getting them unlocked. So it all depends. If they have those kinds of parts and don't have to manufacture them, but I'm sure those parts probably exist somewhere. So they probably would have flown them. You probably could have gotten it all done in probably under a week, easily. That's a hell of a ship, the USS Missouri. That's why it's come out of retirement once before.
Well,
in the Gulf War. Hell of a fucking ship.
Question: what about the fuel on these ships? Doesn't fuel eventually go bad? Do they have to like cycle it out periodically, or?
Yeah, as I recall, they still use diesel fuel. And diesel fuel, if you didn't know this, I'm going to teach you something about fuel. When they were processing oil, they found out that one of the byproducts is natural fuel or gasoline. And when you process the gasoline, you get unleaded gasoline. So it's like the more the purification of one product creates a secondary product that we found use for. And it is one of the most effective uses of something. You have less than, I think, 2% loss of material with natural fuel. And people love to call it fossil fuels, but it's called fossil fuels not because it's made from fossils, but because it was made underground. And that's what it's called fossil. It's not made from fossils. It's biological material that makes that. Algae, bacteria, shit like that makes natural fuels. And that's why when they act like it's not renewable, I love to correct their bad science. Go, yes, it is quite renewable. That's why the earth hasn't caved in, dumbass. Now, water, you can cause cave-ins, but not fuel. But no, again, how did they have the ability to get the Battleship going like they did in the film? They would have had to, absolutely, they would have had to make sure all the weapons were working. They probably would have had to replace that. They would have had to replace certain parts to the engines. And they would have had to make sure that there were no holes or leaks anywhere for the fuel. And then they would have fueled it up. And I'm telling you, in just a handful of days, they probably would have been able, in real life, in an emergency, got that sucker up and running. There still would have been problems, but it would have been up and running. And the guns would probably be the least amount of problem for them to get working. So I did look this up for you, Ariel. The Tiger tanks used in the film Kelly's Heroes were ex-Soviet Army T-34s, which is something you notice on the curve of the turret. Tiger tanks don't have curve. Their curve is in their shape around, but they're straight up and down. The other thing is if you look at their caissons, the wheels of the vehicle, Tiger tanks are gigantic round with one slightly behind it and another one in front of that one, and it keeps doing that. And they're just three, 1, 2, 3, 4, 5, 6. I think it's 6 wheels that run the tread. They're offset. No, that's going nowhere. And the other thing, by the way, Kelly's Heroes that Anima loved is all of the German actors are actually German-speaking actors. And she and I both have a great appreciation of that, not having Englishmen pretending to be Germans. They still do that now and again, but a bulk of like The Longest Day, a bulk of the actors in that film were German or Austrian born actors. Some of them.
I love Burning Bridges. I always have to bring up that.
Yeah.
It's just a fucking great song.
Yeah, I told Anima, I said, if I ever do a live action version of Vindicated Inc., which has always been the goal, it's going to open with them traveling to their location for where he gets wounded, to the song 110 Soldier, because I just love that kind of music, that folksy pop music from the 60s. Love that shit. You remember the song 110 Soldier from Billy Jack?
Mm-hmm.
Kelly's Heroes, Tanks, or Tigers. End of story. End of story. Look, I understand how you feel, because when I saw the Bridget Remagen, and then later saw the movie A Bridge Too Far, which again is about the Bridget Remagen, I was so fucking disappointed to learn that all my favorite World War II movies didn't have German tanks in them. Patton didn't have German tanks in it. And it's about his fight with, what's his name? The great German general.
Rommel.
Rommel down in South Africa. Or North Africa, sorry. And no, the Germans drove American tanks. It's just weird. Just weird. It's disappointing. But I will also tell you, just like with MASH, the character Oddball is not like any tanker that would have existed in World War II. He was absolutely for the hippie crowd to get them to enjoy the movie. He was
but he steals it though. All the best lines are his. Him and Rickles.
Him and Gavin McLeod are so good together in that. Old Captain Steuben from Love Boat have this fucking weird marriage-like relationship where they're always bickering. And I've had relationships like that with some of my buddies where I'm never going to forget when I went grocery shopping, and Mac was we lived together. He was my heterosexual life mate. And he was my daughter's uncle and, my best friend and my housemate. We lived together. We went grocery shopping, and I was looking for a specific sauce. And when I go shopping, I go aisle to aisle. I don't want to go back and forth and keep traveling around. I want to, in a very organized way, get all the groceries. And by the time I get back to the store, I get the last thing, then I'm heading to the aisle to check out. Okay. We get about 5-6 aisles down, and I couldn't find this item. And he goes, yeah, well, I saw it back a few aisles back there. And I'm like, you didn't say anything to me? And he goes, I'm like, motherfucker, you go get it. God damn, man, what's the problem with you not telling me when we're on the aisle that it was there? You knew it was on the list. And he goes, I'm sorry, I bruised your vagina. And I used the P word. He didn't say vagina. And I was just like this when he said it. I was like, and he turned around, walked away. He turned the corner, and our buddy Ultra Rob was with me. And he looks at me, and I went, oh my God. And I started laughing. Boy, he really put me in my place with that. I really was acting like somebody with a bruised vagina. Oh, man. Best insult ever. Done with Madam President Penny. It's worse than that one. It was the Xbox 360 PS3. Would recommend looking at it because the story is good. What are we talking about there? Which was it? What I miss? Third Age.
Rings.
Got you. Third Age. Got you.
There was apparently another one she was talking about, or they were talking about. Okay.
All right. Another Battleship movie would be good with Hopper as captain. It didn't make enough money. That's the problem. They lost money with that movie.
No, it lost 150 million. They're not going to do nothing.
Yeah, they're not going to do a sequel. Gas, how could you, Gary? How could you be sexist for women to be in combat? I mean, we would have press-on nails available. I'm going to tell you, man, there are some females I served with that were fucking badass. I don't want to get into too much detail. I have photos of this young lady. She was so beautiful, but she was muscular, an athlete, and she and I took a shine to one another early on. And that weekend we're on pass, and she went to a party I was at downtown San Antonio in a big hotel, the Hyatt Regency in downtown San Antonio. And she spotted me there and came over. Next thing you know, we're alone in her room on the bed, about to really get at it. And she punches me right in the fucking mouth. And it knocked the shit out of me. I didn't expect it, so I didn't duck it. I'm like, she's not going to hit me. She fucking hit me right in the mouth, a haymaker of a punch. And then she leaned back and threw off her bra, and I came up, blood all over my mouth. And in my mind, all I could think was, oh my God, this is going to be Klingon sex. And that's what it was.
That's our horny bastard Gerry.
I could never, ever have a relationship with her, but that night was amazing. And we were just good buddies. I was just her fuck buddy for the night, you know. But a lot of that goes on in the military. There's a lot of that going on because you're integrating males and females now, and you find a fuck buddy, you know. And there's no love exchange. It's just sex, you know, getting off. So what is this NLT with $5?
You know where that happens a lot?
I'm monetized. And yeah, and by the way, Tig, you're very welcome. Anything we can do to help, we will do it. I will do it. What was that, Shanatsky?
Oh, you know where else that happens? Disneyland cast members. They're under such high stress that they fuck
I've
like
read
crazy.
that in an article. I don't know if that was WDW or where I read that, but I think it was WDW because they were talking about it, that there was this news that was happening. One problem Battleship had was that Liam Neeson just lost his wife and did no publicity. Yeah, I got to tell you, man, that was devastating what happened to him. I love that he did a film last year. I think it was last year. Might have been 2 years ago, with his son, his real biological son. They did a movie together, grieving the loss of a mother, his wife and the kid's mother. And it's a really good film. I wouldn't say it's great, but it was really good. It was very touching. And the two of them got to act out the shit that they had to go through. Well, no, I mean, to get the Missouri up and going in that few hours like they did in the movie.
Yeah.
No, I don't think they could do it in hours. Yeah, they couldn't do it in hours. It would take a day, maybe 2 days, round the clock.
Yeah.
Congrats. Absolutely agree. Could not have done it without you. Oh, you bet, man.
Oh.
I love you again with.
Oh, and let's give a moment of silence for Rihanna's acting career.
I'm sorry, we tried to give you a moment of silence, but there were a lot of guffaws and chuckles. They are going to move the USS New Jersey soon to dry dock. Oh, okay, cool. But no, again, how did they have the ability to get the battleship going like they did in the movie to fight against the aliens? That exactly the way I said. They would have had to have brought in parts. I mean, the fastest turnaround would have been 1 day. They couldn't have done it in hours. I don't believe it's possible. They would have had to flown in parts from other naval stations or supply depots and done it that way. So that's all. They couldn't have done it any other way. Let's see. By the way, Google says that Lennon lived at the Dakota. Yeah, in December of 1980. I don't think there's brownstones within 15 blocks. Well, I know that the house that he had was a brownstone. Am I not right? I remember the news saying that he lived in a brownstone. And in fact, Elton John's song about John Lennon's death says brownstone in it. Hey, hey, Johnny. Anybody remember that song?
Yeah. Nope.
No.
Hold on a second. I can probably play a cover, not the actual song.
Because I mean, I wasn't even born when Lennon died, so.
Elton John. Hey, hey, Johnny. Lyrics. As the New York sunset disappeared, I found an empty garden among the flagstones there. Who lived here? He must have been a gardener that cared a lot, who weeded out the tears and grew a good crop. And now it's all strange. It's funny how one insect can damage so much grain. A little empty garden, gardener, tears, it's the lyrics. I have been knocking, but no one answers. And hey, hey, Johnny. And through these tears, some say he farmed his best in younger years, but he'd have said the roots grow stronger if only he could hear who lived there. He must have been a gardener that cared a lot, who weeded out the tears and grew a good crop. Pray for rain, blah, blah, blah. I guess it's flagstones is what I was thinking. I thought he said brownstones. It's flagstones. So I stand corrected. I stand corrected on that. John Lennon residence.
Man, it'd be crazy to be in a concert that's going on, and then he just goes into Crocodile Rock immediately after.
Yes, Ariel. All the old sailors that you see in that movie, they serve in the Missouri.
Yeah, they actually have an entire complement on that ship. Still, even though it doesn't sail, it's considered an honor service to work on a retired ship. But there it is. That's the building, the Dakota. Beautiful freaking place.
The greatest sound engineer in the history was the one that cut off Yoko Ono's microphone when he was playing with. I forget who the other guy was.
Chuck Berry.
Yeah, I love that.
Look at Chuck Berry's face when she starts doing the oh shit. His eyes got all big and they froze the frame. His eyes when he heard her behind him. She just couldn't stand that she wasn't getting attention. John's giving his attention to somebody else.
I hate postmodernism.
There have been complaints about her.
And Ono's entire music is.
Hello? Continue?
Okay, sorry, lag. You had started. That Yoko Ono's music's postmodern. It was one of the reasons I despise postmodernism. Because in essence, her music's all about how she feels about it, not how well done it actually is. Subjectively, to her perspective, she's a fucking musical genius. To the rest of us, she's a banshee.
Who killed the Beatles? You know, I still stand by that belief that she broke up the Beatles because, you know, she had to be with him all the time. And so everybody, Paul McCartney's talked about it, that it made everybody pretty uncomfortable that she was constantly there. I mean, he's like, look, we all had girlfriends, but she had to be there all the time. Yeah, that would drive me crazy. But anyway,
I hate what she did to his kid, where he had to buy back his own stuff from his dad. Yeah, fuck that shit. That's bullshit.
Yeah, Sean and he are very close. Sean Lennon and Julian, but Julian will never like Yoko. It's that simple. I wouldn't either. What did you send me, Tim? Let's go see. Let's see what he
I
said.
believe this. That was bound to happen sooner or later. She was just a catalyst.
Yeah,
Well,
we could have gotten a few more
it's John
albums
Lennon's
out of
fault
it,
in
though.
the end. It's inevitably it's John Lennon's fault that they broke up. Period. So you didn't send it through Facebook. I'm going to go look on my personal Twitter page, see if you sent it there.
Though, one of my favorite
I'm not
South
seeing it
Park
there.
jokes did come out of this when was it Tweak when he becomes an author and he reads Catcher in the Rye and just suddenly just goes, "Kill John Lennon, kill John Lennon, kill John Lennon." They go, "Dude, John Lennon's already dead." Ah, man.
I know. And then, of course, South Park was like, "Too soon? Too soon? Is it okay to make jokes about this?" I'm not.
And then someone reads, oh yeah,
Oh,
it was
there.
Butter. Someone reads Butter's book and they kill Kim Kardashian after they read it.
Oh shit!
And they ban his book as a result.
I see what you sent me, Tim. Okay, I'm going to share this now. This is what Tim just sent me. This is great. This is fucking great. That moment she started to do the banshee scream. I got to switch studios real quick because it won't let me upload. There we go. Upload image now. Here we go. And here's the picture. Chuck Berry's fucking eyes when she started doing the banshee yell. He's like, what the fuck? Oh, she's so fucking annoying. I agree. There would have been more Beatles albums, and I think they probably had no more Beatles right then. I think they should have gotten back together again to do an album. They shouldn't have broken up. They should have just gone their separate directions for a while, get a breather, a respite, and then come back and do something. And they would have been just like the Rolling Stones, you know? And I'm not a fan of the Stones. They did like three major songs I liked. That's not very many for a band. I know bands that I hardly put anything out that I have more songs that they did that I like than of the Rolling Stones. But that's it. I liked. Oh my God, what is that? Oh my God, I got to look it up.
How many farewell tours have the Rolling Stones had at this point?
Since 1969, a lot.
Yeah.
Greatest hits.
Keith
I can't get no
probably thinks
satisfaction.
it's still the first one.
That's a classic. Get Off of My Cloud. I like that one a lot. I like Ruby Tuesday.
Paint It Black.
Not a fan. There's another one. I'm trying to find it.
Can't Always Get What You Want. Was it
It's not
Start Me
here.
Up? The one that they use at every fucking trade show?
No. Let me try to remember the name of the song.
What? Sympathy for the Devil?
Don't get me wrong. I kind of like that, but I wouldn't list that as like one that I want to listen to.
Okay. Ariel wants to know if any of you, because I don't have any thoughts on the USS Texas.
No.
Oh.
Bette Midler did a cover of the song. I remember that. Beast of Burden. Beast of Burden. That's the other song I like.
Oh, yeah.
Because I like the sentiment of the song, the meaning of the song, what it's about. You remember the song? I'll never be your beast of burden. I even like the way he did the vocals on it. And Mick Jagger was one of those people I didn't really like his voice. That was part of the problem.
Yeah, if you don't like his voice.
Chuck Berry. I love this photo of him. Thanks, Tim, for sending that. That's great.
That should be the thumbnail for the episode.
This is every human's reaction to Yoko Ono singing. She had to interrupt a great moment between Lennon and him. Lennon is covering one of Chuck Berry's great songs, and she's got to fucking jump in there and do their fucking crazy yammering shit. Oh, God. Who still tour, and there are only 2 left. Ringo's son is the drummer. Yes, he is. He's fucking good, dude. I like his drumming.
I forget the exact psychology with it, but basically men aspire to be things, and women aspire to insert themselves into things,
which seems to be almost opposite of what men try to do physically.
Yeah, right. I know. I was going 50-50. You're just gonna make a pervert joke, and like, yep, I should have said 95%.
Well, you
yes,
need a
it's
pervert
like
to know
Robin
another.
Williams said. Men, we spend the first 9 months of our lives trying to get out of the womb, and the rest of our lives trying to get back in.
Well, I think in your case, Gary, where there's a hole, there's a goal.
There's always a goal. I'm trying to get Matt McGuire back on too from Guar. I mean, we're old buddies, but God, he's been super busy this year. I want to get him back on. He's so much fun to hang out with.
Dude, just them from Beavis and Butthead, because they're like the one band they both absolutely loved, and just without abatement. It's like Guar, Metallica, AC/DC.
Have you ever seen Guar's cover of Dust in the Wind?
Nope.
I
never really listened to
absolute must. It's a must.
I always wanted to see their stage show, but I just never was in the area where they toured.
I've been to the show, and it's crazy, dude. Absolutely insane. And it's odd, you know, because as friends, I'm very physically affectionate to people I love. And Matt and I were very huggy friends. We really were. We hung out together all the damn time. And I've got a couple of photos here I'm going to show. This is from the local newspaper when they covered that he and I were going around doing portraits of residents in the nursing home. That was a lot of fun. We did a drawing of every single resident that was able to get up. We felt it was inappropriate to draw somebody in their fucking bed if they were like bedridden. And there he in our winter in Fredericksburg, Stafford, Virginia. My ex-girlfriend Patty took that photo. She's a great person. She is the only ex that I'm really still close to this day, because she was just an amazing friend. But that's Matt McGuire from Guar. And I even have a video of him that he did with us. Let's see if I can find it real quick before we go. There. Go into Guar's really, you know, they're just your rage metal punk band. A lot like
they're fun.
Yeah, I forgot the name of the band. He introduced me to him. Danzig was the lead singer for him. The Misfits. The Misfits and Guar are 2 peas in a pod. And I would have never listened to either of them if not for Matt McGuire. But
I mean, what was it? They were like basically the influence of like Alice Cooper's, you know, shock show, vaudeville type stuff. Like they're the next generation of, if I remember right.
Right. Here it is. I found it. All right, let me I'll open it so you guys can watch this. I'll share the video. My buddy made this video with us for Pop Culture Minefield, the guy from Guar. Here's screen. Here, audio. There we go. Add. Starborg of Gwar.
That's right. It's me, Solborg Destructo, enemy of Gwar, and you're watching Pop Culture Minefield, and they're talking nerdy stuff. And on top of that, talking about nerdy stuff, how about Gwar's new graphic novel, The Enormogantic Veil? That's right. You can pick this up, I think it's tomorrow, with a t-shirt and get it for $30. Shout it out, you humans. Go get this book and keep watching Pop Culture Minefield.
I should probably play that more often. I fucking love that. Matt and I used to sit up either down in the den or up in his room, and we'd just be sitting there drawing together, just always drawing. And we came up with the character Detective Nubby, which will be a comic book included in this group. I wrote a hell of a script for this, and I want to get Matt to help me draw it, to get him to work with me again. It was so much fun. And we keep talking about, we'll message, wow, we got to work together. Oh, man, we got to do something together, because we loved hanging out doing artwork. We did a comic idea for one series that was called Time Lords, which was our nod to Doctor Who, but it was also very punk and very modern. Kind of Ted, and this is back, I don't know, I think this was before Bill and Ted. I think it was a year before Bill and Ted. And so when I saw Bill and Ted, I was like, oh crap, they took our idea.
Well, they took it from Doctor Who, so I mean, I think you could do that now because Bill and Ted's over with. They did that last movie, and I don't think it's coming. They're going to do a fourth one.
There we go. I don't know. I've got to get a hold of him. I've got his phone number. I'll just call him. But anyway, guys, we'll wrap it up now. We're 17 minutes over the hour, so we had a lot of fun. Show the trailer one more time, Martin.
Sure. Let me get to it. Here we are. Here we go.
Meet the Seattle Vigilante. Like so many comic heroes, this warrior hides his identity. But his identity isn't the only secret he has to keep. After grievous wounds received during combat, Tier 1 operator John Russell begins to recover and comes to terms with his new reality of being an amputee. And as he learns how to use his new prosthetic limb, he finds himself caught up in the bureaucratic red tape that too many wounded veterans experience, the exhausting medboard process. Out of sheer frustration, John takes it out on the criminal scum of the city. But when reality kicks in, John realizes he started something that's having an impact on the greater world around him, and thus has to reevaluate his motives. And moreover, just how far is John willing to go to finish this war he's declared against the criminals in Seattle? And will he even survive? From the creator of IDW's award-winning graphic novel Code Word Geronimo comes a new story about a different kind of warrior, Vindicated Inc., the first of its kind disabled veteran action hero comic. The Vindicated Inc. graphic novel crowdfunding campaign on fundmycomic.com is provided in the description of this video. We hope you become a contributor. Please share this link. Thank you.
I'm very pleased with that. We're going to be doing a new trailer, but it's not really a trailer. It's just going to be logo, and then I'm just going to be explaining some things. I will tell you guys this. We are going to be adding some new things, which includes baseball caps and T-shirts, possibly even hoodies. And we're going to be adding, goal is, I'm talking to someone about doing this, a 1/12 scale Vindicated statue that has
Gerry
thing you put it on.
Don't forget about the $20 million stretch goal where you start an actual Vindicated Inc. and start a vigilante service.
Right. That'll happen, I hope. But we are going to do this, and it's going to have, it'll be like a maquette. It's not really a statue, it's a maquette, and you put it on the earth. There'll be like a crate or something that he's crouching next to. I think it's going to be pretty cool, little action pose. And if we can get more than one, My future son-in-law prints 3D, and we're looking at doing just a handful of them to include with just very specific campaigns. You can either do it by itself or you can do it with a bundle campaign. It'll be included with like the big goal one. But anyway, I want to thank everybody. Let's look over here. Last comments. Let's see. Oh, there's no such thing as over on this show. Yeah, sadly, it's not true. I have to end it because I'm old and I want to go get something to eat. And I'm also dry, man. I finished off my drink like 40 minutes ago and I'm getting dry. So, you guys want to add anything before we go?
Nah, I'm fine.
The other over we have is Bend Over.
Oh,
Bend Over. That's right. Martin, go ahead and share the link to the crowdfunding campaign. If you have contributed and would like to, that'd be great. But more importantly, if you can please spread the word and tell people about this graphic novel. This is an important subject that deals with veterans and veterans' causes and needs. When the book is published, I'm going to make sure that proceeds from the book do go to at least one of my favorite. ACVAL is a military veteran organization that deals specifically with PTSD. But I may end up. Jeff Searcy is a friend of mine from Wounded Warrior Project, and he wrote the afterword for the book. He wrote the final page. And it's a little blurb about what this book meant to him when he got to read it, and how important he knows military veteran issues are with me. So thanks a lot, guys. I guess we will see you next bat time.
And Gap's
here. Now you got something to say.
Yeah, Gap's here.
Oh, Gap After Dark is here. Great. Right at the ending, Gap. Great timing. Rewind the show. Hopefully you'll get some good information from it. Again, I hope that you guys become contributors on this campaign. There's a lot of cool stuff that we're going to be giving away. One, you're guaranteed to get a copy, at least digitally, of the book. You know, the full book. It's a 155-page graphic novel. We've got 91 pages done right now. There's still a lot of work that needs to be done. And in order to get that work done, we need to have financing to do it. And part of that financing is to my buddy Richard Bonk, who's drawing the 22-page flashback chapter. And it's the only chapter that won't be drawn by me. And I felt it would look really cool if it was drawn differently. It makes you feel like it's still part of the story, but it's its own thing. And I like that idea. So that's it, guys. Everybody have a great weekend, and I will see you first thing Monday morning on Military Monday. Bye, guys.